So, y'all, I'm sitting out in Glen Allen, Virginia at a Huddle House, actually. It's this food spot. I've been to it before. They got some pretty good food. Went there and grabbed me a bite, waiting on a load to come through. I figured while I'm sitting here waiting on that, I would break down this video of Miss Sharhzad Ali, who I've seen snippets of this video. I've seen a lot of people posting snippets of this video. We're going to go through the whole thing. I'll be pausing it. It's going to be a long video. I understand if you don't have the time. I get it. Don't watch it. If you're not open to hearing anything about black women, don't watch this. I'm putting these disclaimers out here early, so that way we don't even have to deal with what I like to call the motherfucking riffraff, the bullshit. So just don't watch this video. And I'm hoping that the length makes people not watch it any goddamn way, really. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, because I know motherfuckers is hard of hearing. Ain't nobody gonna listen. Sharhzad Ali gets a lot of flack from black women because she is one of the only, would-be black scholars, or even a black, even somebody in a leader position that's a woman that doesn't hate black men. And because she doesn't hate black men, because she doesn't come out and disparage black men every chance she gets, she doesn't get the same type of respect that some other people may get. There are women that have a very huge issue with her. We're going to go through this. She's doing an interview. Again, this is 1991. She's doing it with a young black woman. We're going to go through this, listen to her talking points. I'll be pausing through here. I'm going to try to get done in one sitting. This may have to be broke down into two parts. I don't know yet, but we'll see as we go through here. Let's get into it.
Today on our program, one of the hottest properties making the talk show circuit, Sharhzad Ali. An established writer indeed, Ms. Ali is best known as the author of The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. A very controversial and, if I may say so, a very critical view of life of today's black woman. She joins us today in our studio, and of course we'd like to welcome you today to Vibrations.
Well, thank you.
Let me go ahead and pause it now and say that this is based on a book she wrote around the same time black women were mad. They were upset then, and they're even upset now about this book, about the things that she has to say about black women and their seemingly resistance to cooperate with the black man. We'll continue.
Thank you for inviting me.
Basically, it's your premise that the black woman is out of sync with the natural order of things. Can you explain that?
Well, it's a very sensitive subject,
Right.
and certainly I believe that I have tried to approach it from a very sensitive angle. What I have actually said is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in the black family structure.
Now, she says the black woman's failure to get in line with the black man is a direct cause as to the breakup of the black family. Going through this, I'm going to be telling you the points that Miss Ali makes that I disagree with. And this is one of those points I disagree with because we got to deal with white supremacy. White supremacy is a direct cause of the breakup of the black family since the plantations. I can't just hang the black woman as to she's the reason that the black community is, the family structures broke down. That's the way it was meant to be. That's the way it was set out to be by the white man and his motherfucking mama. But we'll continue.
An attack on us as black women. It's just saying that in the breakdown of any relationship, both parties have to take responsibility. And as black women, we have been protected and insulated from any kind of examination about what our share of the responsibility is in the breakdown of the black family. My book represents the first platform, certainly, that the black man has ever had to air his grievances about the black woman, because no one would ever listen to him. They have.
Now, y'all heard her say the shared responsibility. A lot of women like to skip over this part when they're being critical of Miss Ali, or they're saying that, she ain't shit, she ain't worth a fuck. A lot of women skip over this part. She says the shared responsibility, because a lot of black women don't want to hear nothing but, oh, it's the black man's fault. They don't want to hear anything else. But she's talking about the shared responsibility of the breakdown of the black family and black relationships. I think she should have most definitely highlighted black relationships in general. But we'll continue here. And the black man has never had a platform to speak from because the black man doesn't. He can't say anything about black women without being, chastised or ridiculed or talked shit about or just written off completely. And she gave black men a voice. And black women didn't like that shit.
Listen to us.
Can you tell us a little bit about the book itself? What brought you to this point of having to sit down and use your pen to write this book?
Well, actually, it was my first book. In 1985, I authored How Not to Eat Pork or Life Without the Pig. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was going around doing what I was calling Get Off That Hog lectures. And during my travels, I noted that I would take the microscope and show people how you can't kill the trichina worm in pork by cooking it. Heat was not destroying the worm, and I would show them, the difference, and demonstrate how FDA was now using radiation to try to kill the worms in pork because cooking was not working, which is what we had always been told. And during that time, a lot of black men were in agreement to get off eating pork. They wanted to change their eating habits. And they were happy to find out some information that might possibly save their lives. But it was black women who were the most adamant, who refused to change meal planning techniques, seasoning food, cooking techniques. And so I said, it's interesting. I said, if we are refusing to provide the black man with the proper physical food, when we know that food is what sustains life, then what else are we withholding from him? Possibly there are some other areas, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, that we are affecting his behavior by what we do or what we withhold and refuse to give. And that led me to try to find out. We've always heard that the black man leaves the black family, abandons his woman and children, won't take care of the children, won't work, stays out all night, turns into a drunk, takes drugs. We've heard a lot of negative things. Most of them are true. But I wanted to find out what happened.
Now, you heard her say, as she named all these things about black men, she said most of them are true. So she's not denying the black man's role, what the black man's doing. She's just saying, well, there's somebody else here too. And black women don't typically like shit like that.
Before he gets to that point, what leads up to the breakdown? We've never gone back to try to find out what happens in the relationship between the black man and a black woman that makes him go off and do all of these bad things. To assume that this is just normal, natural behavior for black men would be to assume that he is naturally bad. And I do not believe that the man that God gave to us as a mate is a naturally bad person. And so I wanted to try to...
That's heavy, right? She don't want to believe that the man that God gave to black women is naturally bad. And a lot of times, again, if you're not saying that about black men, if you're not saying black men are naturally bad, they're naturally not worth a fuck, then black women going to have an issue with that. And again, this is not going to be talking about all black women. I'm not going to clarify that over and over again either. Because a lot of y'all black women like for that to happen all day. Like y'all are fucking children. So we're not going to do the all. Of course, all black women aren't acting like this, and all black women aren't even a part of this conversation, really, as to what black women are doing that's fucked up out here. But truth is truth. We must acknowledge what's going on here, and we have to be honest about what's going on here.
Examine what goes on with him. What's his side of the story?
Did a black man ask you to write this book?
Oh, no, certainly not. I think they were just as surprised as black women. Many of them approached the title of the book with a little apprehension because they have not had a champion. We have never had a black woman who actually stood up and said, I'm standing up for the black man's side of the story. We know what our side is, and both sides are true. We have done some very dreadful things to each other. And I don't exonerate black men, which is kind of a misconception that people have. Right. I just say that we know his side. What about our side? And we do have a side. We have adopted some wrong standards. We are judging our men many times by the wrong value system. We are using his children sometimes against him. We have been told that the only benefit that a black man provides in a home is money. And if he does not give us money to take care of those kinds of financial provisions, that he has no value. And
Now, this was 1991 when she wrote this book. We still hear that same shit right now. I just got through talking about this the other day, how I'm being told that black men are not worthy of submission or cooperation due to money. We talking about money. Has no value unless it's monetary. And this is, in 1991, I was 8. And this is still being said to this day. I'll continue.
What my research has proven to me is that a black man, any man in any home, provides much more than financial support.
Tell him.
The man provides guidance, instruction, discipline for the children, which we sorely need in our black homes. He provides gratification, fulfillment, protection. I mean, there's so many other values. And these values are the ones that are missing in our children today, which is why many black children are in the street, out of control themselves, disrespectful, don't have any regard for anyone. And most of us are scared of them, and everybody else is, because nobody has a way into them to try to gain any control over them. So I maintain that a return to traditional family values, certain clearly defined gender responsibilities for black men and black women in running a home and a relationship will help us to produce a better child. And if we produce a better child, certainly we'll have a better future and a better nation.
In saying all of this, and as calling yourself a champion and having, if I may say, the courage to write this book and stand by it, you've caused a stir. This book is very controversial. What are you hearing from public reaction?
Well, I don't think that it's an issue among black women about whether or not the book is true or not. The issue is that I was not supposed to tell. These are inside secrets and things that we have never let our men know about. And many times what is that we say? He can't handle me. Well, many times he can't handle us because he doesn't know what it is he's trying to handle. He doesn't understand what motivates us. We have become very adept, many of us, at being able to do something right in front of his eyes and then convince him that that's not what he really saw at all and that it didn't happen. So we've kept him kind of confused.
Excuse me, do you realize that there are many bookstores, and in particular black bookstores, that have refused to carry the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman?
I think that that's been overblown. Right now, the book is carried in over 5,000 bookstores here in this country and about 2,000 abroad. The book is becoming a bestseller in London. And to date, we only know of 2 bookstores in the entire country who refuse to carry the book.
May I tell you that there is at least one in Tallahassee?
There may be, but they're lost if they're doing that.
The response we got from that book owner was that your book had nothing, absolutely nothing constructive.
Was that a woman who gave you those comments?
Yes, it was.
Oh, how surprising. Okay.
Right. Like, how surprising that a woman ain't gonna fuck with the book. All the other books out here, and this is the one that ain't nobody want to fuck with. She was having some issues getting into some bookstores back when the book came out. And, of course, you know, a lot of black women wasn't really vibing with it because they said she gave no constructive criticisms. But the whole book, I thought the issue with the book was that it was too much criticism. Too much criticism, too much truth being told in this book. And a lot of times women have a problem with, if it don't apply, let it motherfucking fly. If it ain't you, if you're not acting like this. I'll continue.
Let's talk about some of the things that seem to be upsetting people.
There certainly have been a lot of things taken out of context. Anyone who's ever looked at me or seen, witnessed some of the talk shows, they actually exploit a lot of issues. They take them out of context. They want to sensationalize them to build up their ratings to have a good show. So I really appreciate this opportunity to just sit down and have a fireside chat about the book.
Well, I'm glad you...
And see, what she's talking about is you will see her on Donahue, and it's more like it's a spectacle. She would go on those shows and it's a spectacle. People in the crowd attacking her and shit like that. It became a spectacle. But they was doing that to boost their ratings. And a lot of people are judging her based on, times when she's been on these other talk shows, but they was using her for ratings. So now she's actually getting the time to sit here and talk about the book peacefully, calmly, on some chill shit. That way she can better explain her points.
All the fireworks and everything.
You say black women, and I quote you as saying, nag.
Yes.
And that we are essentially responsible for pushing our men away by doing so.
A lot of times we take a position because of our own emotional mechanisms. We harass our men too much. We nag our men too much, and we keep his mind and his head so bundled up and bogged down with all of our personal idiosyncrasies about our day-to-day personal relationship with him, that a lot of times we don't free his mind up to go out and to plan sanely for our future and for the future of our children. Many of them come to us every day, and they almost have to do a wind test. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who they're going to meet, because we have a lot of reactions. We tend to think as black women that a successful relationship, and one where we're happy, is one where everything goes our way. And the first time it goes another kind of a way, then we go into hell, turmoil in our brain, and we start deciding, oh, I've got terrible problems with this man. He won't do what I want him to do. When our men have a side.
Let me give that side.
Let me pause it real quick. Now, she's basically saying that, hell, these men, black men, can't even focus on what they need to do out here, because they having to deal with their woman at the crib, nagging, bitching, complaining constantly, running their fucking mouths, getting on the motherfuckers' nerves. This is basically what she's saying. How the hell he supposed to focus on the streets, on the world, when he have to deal with nagging at his home, within his relationship? Because a lot of men, hell, I talk to them, that's all they got is what their woman was complaining about. That's all they want to talk about. Not rebuilding shit and doing anything about white supremacy. All they talk about is how much their woman getting on their nerves and shit. Because they don't got time to really focus on anything else. Now, I do believe that's a flaw. That's a flaw in a man, to even let a woman nag you to that point. Y'all got to learn how to ignore what the fuck she talking about, or you can tell her to kick motherfucking rocks. If you ain't happy here, then get out. Very simple. To me, that's what it should be. You're not going to have me all focused because you on some shit. That's not going to happen to me. But that's where we got to get in touch with our manhood here. We got to be strong in our resolve here. You're not going to get on my goddamn nerves. I'm not going to allow it to happen. You're not going to have me all focused, because if you get me all focused, then we could just remove you completely. You see.
According to Sharhzad Ali, okay? You say in your book,
okay, let's
and I'm quoting you, okay? The black man in America is the only male on earth, including every continent, who is disrespected by the women in his nation.
That's true.
This situation does not exist anyplace else among the billions of people inhabiting our planet except here in America.
That's right.
The other black men, the yellow men, the red men, the brown men, and the white men are all honored and respected by their respective nations. All other women recognize and accept that the man is the authority, the ruler, and the leader. Only here in the United States, in the black nation, scattered throughout the United States, is the black man neglected. That's pretty powerful.
And it's absolute.
Now, and in this case, we do that shit to each other. Black men and black women sit around constantly, not respecting our prospective roles with each other. Now, again, according to black women, black men don't deserve to be in leadership positions like every other man on the planet, because they're not producing monetarily like other men. And she spoke specifically about black America. But because we're not producing, we don't deserve any type of, not communication, but cooperation from our women. That's what a lot of black women are saying to this day.
True. We have been displaced. A lot of us don't really understand what slavery actually did to us and how much psychological trauma it did to us regarding what our proper roles are with each other, what our responsibilities are as man and woman in our various communities and relationships. We have never been debriefed from slavery. Mm-hmm. Not really. We have just, we know we had that history, but we don't know how it affected us. We don't know how much of our actual culture we lost, how much of our ideas were taken from us. We know that our religion was taken from us. We know that our names were taken from us. But we don't know how many other standards of day-to-day life have been removed. And while we have adopted the American way of doing things, they have not worked for us, because we have a very special situation. We are not the same as everyone else. And a lot of the people who want us to pretend that slavery didn't exist or to forget about it, they've never been a slave. So they don't know what we're going through. They don't know what this has done to us. It has made us as black women insecure.
Why not? Well, okay, that's true. Why not?
Hold on. Let me pause it right there. Black people, you're not like anybody else. Your situation is not like anybody else. And I know that we are here in America, 3Ks don't get this shit fucked up, incorporated. But these values and these so-called way of life it's not ours. We've adopted it due to social engineering. Well, due to first slavery, then social engineering, because again, the slave master and his mama, or the white man and his mama, they could have completely left, and these values are being passed down through our families, because black people never took the opportunity to take our shit back. We wanted to adopt the American culture, the American way of life, the American dream. That's what we wanted to adopt. That's what many of us still are wanting to adopt right now. But due to social engineering, we have not broke free from setting these standards on ourselves in this system, or in this lifestyle, this American lifestyle. And a lot of us are trying to force these values on each other. And we've imposed these values on ourselves. And our parents are have been very, very complacent in passing this programming down to our people.
Take up for us. Why not write something that says we need
everybody to take up for us, and we've always had books about black women.
Exactly.
How great and how strong we are, and we are that. I'm just saying that we have used our strength in the wrong direction. We have used it against our men instead of standing up for them. And if we start to support our men and to speak a good word for him publicly, then so many people won't be able to come against him and tear him down. And he won't have to feel so frustrated. And he won't be outside away from us looking for peace of mind with women of other nationalities. Because we actually want our own black man. We need him back in our homes. And we want...
Now, this is a small part that I disagree with. Because should nothing really, to me, because again, this does not account for all black women, but should nothing make you run to another nationality of woman, in my opinion anyway. Some people will disagree with this. Should nothing be making you run to other nationalities of women. There shouldn't be, because again, our situation is different, it's unique. And nobody else is going to understand that situation other than another black man or woman. Nobody else.
We just living in a culture where they're trying to convince us that not only do we not need a man, but there's some other options to having one. And those options mainly are celibacy or lesbianism.
There's an old saying that says charity begins at home and spreads abroad. And
Absolutely.
in your book you say that we are not bringing up our daughters and our sons in a correct manner to respect their fathers.
No, we're not. Unfortunately, as I say, since money has been used as the measure, many times if a black man does not have money to give us, we won't even let him see his children. We won't let him spend any time with it because he does not give us whatever the child support is. And I'm not saying that we don't need money to raise a child, but I try to explain to black women that raising a child consists of much more than feeding, clothing, and sheltering it. That's maintaining one. To raise one, you need a return of the parental coalition of the father and the mother to put the proper values into the child. Many of our boys, when we raise them alone, they grow up with the female emotional mechanism. They are suspicious, they are doubtful, they're disrespectful of womanhood, they are bitchy, they can't make a decision. And many of our girls who grow up in a home where there's no man present, they go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have any idea how to live with a man day to day, how to prepare a proper meal, how to be a mother, how to just be in love in the home. Most of what our people and our children especially have learned about how you have a relationship, they learned off of television. And television doesn't represent our needs. And so a lot of the confusion has come from outside agencies that we have not recognized how detrimental it has been to us as a people.
Can I play?
And see, she's talking about social engineering here, which is, what I be talking about all the time. Like, we get our values and everything from the television. That's where you know about romance from. That's where you learn about love from. This is where you set your expectations on love and romance. It comes from TV. And guess who on that TV? White folk. Typically, white folk on that TV are teaching us about love. And we have to be mindful of that because it's real. This is shit that's really happening out here. Social engineering. Where you get your ideas from. Think about that sometimes. Because I've sat and thought about it, and I've been thinking about it for years. Where did I get some of these ideas from that I have? That's how you break free from them. Because I realized that it was a fucking program. It's a program. An unnatural program. We trying to live the white man's way. But we not white. And hell, most of them can't even live that way. Truth be told.
Advocate for just
I wish you wouldn't, but I know you must. Go on.
What if I am a good wife? His home is clean. His kids are fed. I'm making sure they're well educated. I help them with their homework.
Right.
I'm a good lover in bed.
Pussy good.
I help him with the finances. And I say, look at that. He still took a walk.
Well, that's something else that's been confused about my book. I advise black men and black women. I certainly tell men that if you are with a woman who you have been with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 6 months, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and that woman refuses to cooperate with your ideas, does not want to get with your program of right, whatever it is, then I tell those men, get rid of that woman and get another one. And I tell black women the same thing. If you are with a man that you cannot be in agreement with, then get rid of him and get with a man that you can be in agreement with. If the man you're with is not treating you the way that you want him to, and you feel that you have put in enough time to demonstrate your commitment and your sincerity of efforts to try to make the relationship work, I don't tell people to just stay in that relationship. I'm trying to teach us that we waste a lot of time being angry with each other and being dissatisfied in relationships. Get out of it and get with one where you can be happy.
You say that.
See? You see? Now, why are black women talking about her like she's saying that black women have to stay in fucked up situations? Because a lot of times this is what I'm hearing people say. She's very clearly saying if the motherfucker ain't with you, if they're not worthy, if they're not with your program, well, she's telling black men they're not with your program. Same thing for black women. If they're not with your program, then get rid of them. We waste a lot of time, and I've said this myself. And when I heard her say it, I was like, this is 1991. We waste a lot of time with people, not getting along with them, and then we'll act like we a victim. Men and women do this. Leave. Stop acting like you have to stay with motherfuckers. That's not real life. And then you end up being bitter. Leave. Go somewhere else. Be somewhere else. Be by yourself. A concept that a lot of people don't even acknowledge. You can also not have a dick in your mouth. You can also do that. You can also not be laying up in some woman pussy. You can also do that. You can go sit your ass down somewhere. That's also an option. Have a seat. Rejuvenate. Take a chill pill. You know, these things have been, same thing. Sit down. You can do that, but she is not saying stay in a situation that's abusive and stay in a situation that you can't fuck with. She's not saying that.
Black woman would like to be a clone of the white woman.
Many of us, yes. That's unfortunate.
How do you see that?
Well, that's something that was almost accidental, I'd have to say. See, the white woman has been the only mentor that we have had of a female. We've seen her every day of our life on television, every magazine, every newspaper, every commercial. It's just been her face, her body, her image, whatever it has been in front of us. And so today we have the results of that. We have black women who are trying to dye their hair blonde, who are wearing blue and green contacts in their eyes, who wear tons and tons of layers of makeup, who have changed their voice, who have hair weaves so they can have flowing long hair, blowing in the wind, like Brooke Shields or somebody, And so that's been an accident. And as a result of us doing that, we have also adopted the women's liberation movement goals of wanting to be liberated from the man and have some kind of pseudo-equality. When while that may be true of the white woman and her plight with the white man, that's not really the black woman's business because we haven't been under the control of the black man for over 500 years. So what do we have to be liberated from him from?
That's a good question. That's a damn good question. What and when we talk about the women's rights movement, the liberation movement, and, black women, kind of imposing themselves into that movement, taking on that fight, what was black men? Black men wasn't even in control of shit. They wasn't in control of anything. So what was the black woman's role? What was she trying to get liberated from if the black man wasn't in control of anything? If you had an issue with what you was making at the job and not getting equal pay, just what a lot of white women had an issue with, that's the white man doing that. That's the white man holding you back. That's the white man putting you in that situation. So, this is a fight that our women picked up that I think they could have most definitely sit their asses down for. And many of the black scholars have said that. There's nothing good that came from the feminist movement. And actually, it was a co-opted CIA agent purposely out here I think her name was Gloria Steinem or some shit. Some bitch, some white bitch, some colonizing hoe that came in here to disrupt, to told a black woman that y'all need to be liberated from your man too. Look at how he's stopping you from having equal rights. No, he ain't. He don't make laws. Well, he at least stopping you from making equal pay. No, he ain't. He don't own the business that's even setting the pay. Well, he be yelling at you. Come on now. That was a goddamn sham. That was a trick. And the black woman took on that fight. And prior to that, she said the black woman is sitting around here with all this makeup and weaves and shit. This is 1991. This is 91. And you know what happened? Those ideologies, those women had kids. Passed those same ideologies down to those children. Same ideologies down to these children. That's what happened. And we got to be real about that shit. Because we're not being real about it right now. We're acting like this is, there's some fake shit going on. But it's really happening out here that we have. And again, I'm not saying that black women are culturally appropriating European culture. Because we've cleared that up. That it's a matter of, straight hair and all that shit. That's not necessarily European culture. That's genetic. That's genetic. That's not appropriation. But why don't you love yourself how you look already? What images are you seeing on this TV? What images are the men in your community? Because I'm not going to let black men off right here. What images are they reinforcing as well? You see? This is the social engineering that we've been through in this country that nobody really wants to deal with. Miss Ali was doing this in 91. Talking about this makeup. Look at how crazy this makeup shit is out here right now. Eyelashes and shit just, like they're about to take off their face. Now these bitches can jump out of a goddamn plane and glide to the ground. Like there's no need for a parachute. Huh? They can close their eyes and glide to the ground. No problem. I'll continue.
Is there something wrong with trying to make yourself look better or more appealing?
It depends on what standard you're using as being the goal of looking better.
Exactly.
If we think to look better is to put on a ton of makeup and have blue eyes, then there's something wrong with that.
Exactly.
But if we think that to look better is to certainly get a better spirit in our heart and to work every day to become a better wife, a better mother, better friend, better sister, then those values and attributes alone will make us more beautiful than we are now.
Kilter. I get so tired of women talking about, well, we just doing this to make ourselves look better. Better to who? Better, how are you looking better with this? That's not how you look. It's a facade. It's a mirage. So how do you feel good like that? Putting all that shit on. And this woman sitting here like, whose standard are you going by of looking better? Whose standard is that? Other than your own personal low self-esteem, which has been reinforced by the society that you were raised in. Black women, you don't need all that. You don't need it. You're already beautiful. You see. You already are. That's not your struggle. That's not your bag to be wearing that shit every single day. That's the only way you feel good. Putting on a full face to go down to the grocery store and all this weaves and shit. That's not your bag. All right? I'm just saying. These white hoes need it. I'll continue.
How do you feel about the fact that many people accuse you of wanting to see the black woman at a point of submission? Is that where you want to see a black woman in the 19th?
Y'all hear that? Now, with the way she framed the question, it sounds negative. You want to see the black woman at the point of submission. You see? This is the negative stigma that comes with submission. Already the question's framed negative.
this?
Well, it depends on how you define submission. Those words have a tendency to have a negative connotation for us because of how they were used against us during slavery and what we connect them to. But actually, the kind of submission that I'm referring to just means cooperation and agreement. I don't think that anybody could say that I represent a woman who is subjugated in any kind of way. I don't think that anybody could say that my personality sounds like some man has me somewhere crawling around on the ground or walking 10 paces behind him. So I'm not representing that. I'm representing strength. I'm saying that we have a lot of power. We have power to make heaven and hell for our men. And I'm saying, let's try making heaven. Let's try to build him up. If a man has his woman behind him, he will believe he can do anything. And all we need to do is to get our men to believe that they can do anything. And he'll be able to, do much better than he's doing now and come out of the pitiful condition he's in. As I said, I'm not exonerating him. I'm just saying that all of that strength.
Do y'all women that be going in on Miss Ali hear what she's saying? She's basically saying you would be better suited building him up versus tearing him down to get him out of the pitiful condition that he's in. She's not exonerating him. You see? A lot of women act like she just done exonerated black men. That's not what she's doing. And she keeps saying that's not what she's doing. It would just be better for you to use your strength instead of tearing him down with it. Have his back. To me, it's a simple thing. Right? I'll continue.
We have. Let's use it in a more positive way instead of just going for self. Nobody told us that all of that being my own person and I'm independent would lead to separation and loneliness. But that's what we had to trade for that. In order to have certain kinds of success, we had to give up the man because we can't find a man who will compete with us on that level. As I said, we say he can't handle us. He's intimidated by the fact I make more money than him. I think that by judging our men on how much money he makes, we have lost a lot of good men. Because as black women, if we decide that all of us are going to just determine whether or not we're going to have a man based on how much money he makes, then none of us have no man. Because most black men don't have no money.
There are many men.
Not a lot of money.
See? And if you understand the conditions that your man have been raised in this country, again, I'm not saying that black men can't reach levels of success. I'm saying that black men a lot of times are in positions where they may not have a whole lot of money. At least not at that time. He could essentially gain or be in better positions to make money as time goes on. But again, men being judged, black men in particular being judged specifically off of money, that's a bad metric considering the trial of the black man, woman, and child in this country. That's just a bad metric. I'll continue.
There are many men out there who don't want a woman.
That's absolutely true.
Who is not gainfully employed.
That's
just
true.
Works both ways.
And one of the things that I have always explained about that, Raven, is that for my lectures, which I do all over the country so I can give black people some ease and take some hysteria out of our communities that the book seems to have caused, I have security guards. Not because of black women. We're going to do just what we do. We're going to fuss and we're going to cuss and do a little something, But I have it because of black men. Because the black man's guide to understand the black woman puts the black man on point. And it reminds him what he has allowed to happen to his woman and his family. Many black men become intimidated. They don't want to take responsibility for their women. They don't want the challenge. They don't want to be put on point. So they become overwhelmed. And it's them that go off. That's why I have security. Because most men know that this book puts the black man on point. It just...
Y'all, now listen. Anybody that be talking this shit about Miss Ali, I want y'all to understand what she's saying here. Because it puts the black man on point as well. Her book put the black man on point. This is what you've allowed to happen to your communities. She says this. And y'all still find something wrong with what she got to say. It's out of control. I'll continue.
About what slavery has done to the black woman, but it's really telling him what he has allowed to happen.
Let's go back to the book for just a moment. According to you, there are 3 types of black women.
Yeah, they overlap a little bit.
Can you define it just very briefly for us?
Well, we have, I kind of number them, I think, as 1, 2, and 3. And I would call them lower class, middle level, and so-called upper class, and we certainly have to acknowledge that we have those levels in our society. We see them every day. That is not a put down to recognize that we have a lower class woman who perhaps lives on the street, who is an alcoholic, a bum, who is outdoors, who is subject to abject poverty as a lack of, because of a lack of education and proper training and personal hygiene and other kinds of information. She exists, and we need to reach her and try to raise her up differently, because many of these women have children.
Y'all call them hood rats now. This is what y'all would call hood rats. I disagree with that terminology, but this is the woman she's describing.
And we have to be responsible for them. We have the mid-class women who are the number 2s, and they're kind of average. They try to do better than the lower level. And then, of course, we have the number 3 class, which is the so-called successful black woman who is tripping about the fact that she generally has a big job and a credit card or something. We do a lot
black women accomplish something?
Yes, I absolutely do. But if we can't accomplish saving our race, then we have not made an accomplishment. We are looking at our man become endangered. He's already endangered. Over 60% of us are single, widowed, separated, or divorced as of last year. And so we're not together. And there is one monolith in the black community, Raven. If we don't reproduce children, then our nation, our race is going to die out here. And so we sometimes tend to look at black men and say, yeah, they're in this bad condition. And we act like they're going to die out and we're going to live on. But that's not the way it's going to go. If the black man dies, all of us are going to die, because he actually is the backbone of our nation. We can't produce a baby by ourselves, and going into other nationalities still just erases, our nation. And I'm trying.
Y'all hear that? Now, see, this woman that's interviewing her is, you can tell she one of them, she one of them type of coons. I can't tell what level of coon she on, because she just doing the questionnaire part, but she's some type of coon, because she said, well, what's wrong with black women achieving success? There's nothing wrong with black women achieving success, but if you're going to exchange success for your man and for the man in your community, then the community dies off. That's just what happens. And it works the same way vice versa. If a black man gonna trade in success for his women, then the team dies off. There is no you without we. It just don't work like that. And that's the point that she's making here.
Us not to do that.
You have problems with interracial marriages.
Yeah, I'm not for that. Well, because of
what you mean?
The fact that I think that God made a male and female of every nationality so that they could mate and reproduce. And I think in our particular case, a lot of us try to run to what I call race denial by trying to marry into other nationalities to try to get away from our own heritage. Many black women do that, and certainly many black men do that. So I'm trying to get them to get back together and stop trying to marry and go into other races.
She's not for that interracial shit, because it don't make no sense. She says God made a man and a woman of each race so they could stick together. The black man and woman running from that shit at an alarming rate. Black men more so than black women. Truth be told. But it's happening. This is 1991. It's going on. And it's problematic.
Infiltrate them with some of the nonsense that we bring as a result of our sad slavery history.
What if a woman says to you, well, I was alone, and he came to me at a very vulnerable point in my life, whether he's Hispanic or from the Middle East, or he's white and Caucasian, doesn't matter. And she just says, he came to me at a very vulnerable point in my life, Sharhzad, and he's good to me, and he takes care of me.
It's not necessary for people to confess to me. I tell people all the time, I'm not taking a poll. This book is about self-examination and personal development. And if after reading this book, she thinks that she is still in the right place, then I don't have any control over that. I'm not out here as a judge. As I said, I haven't set myself up to say I'm the perfect black woman. Everyone should be about me. I have the same problems that all the rest of y'all got. I'm just trying to work with it. And this book is so brutally honest We've never had anybody just straight talk to us about our personal problems, what happens inside the black home after the door is closed. And we have had a tendency to think that it's some kind of secret, that nobody recognizes, that we don't get along. And we tend to think that somebody is going to pick this book up from some other nationality and think that all black women are like the women that I describe in this book. That's totally impossible, because the things that I describe are visible and they're audible. You can see them or you can hear them. So nobody's going to mistakenly think you do these things if they don't see them or hear them coming out of your mouth or out of your actions. You know, so there's no danger of people thinking that all of us do this.
Sharhzad, there are a lot of women out there who think,
Right.
You don't like us, you don't like black women.
Hold on. Let me deal with that first. She's basically saying, if the shoe don't fit, don't put the motherfucker on. Basically. And this coon-ass reporter going to talk about, and she about to follow up with her question. Well, she's going into women say that Sharhzad don't like black women.
Yes, I do. I love black women. I'm a black woman myself, and I got 5 daughters and 4 sisters, so that would, be ridiculous of anybody to assume that. As I said, we have just never had anybody challenge us on our behavior.
Right.
We've never had anybody to say, well, let's look at what we do. We know what he does, and he's wrong.
Right.
In a lot of what he does. But his wrongness, his guilt, does not ensure our innocence. We have a share in the problems that we have in the black community. And just because we are dressed up and have a job does not mean that we don't practice some aberrant behaviors that end up infecting our homes and breaking up our relationships with our men. And
yeah, I mean, she laying it out there. I don't know how a lot of people miss this. She's not exonerating the black man. She continues to say, I'm not exonerating the black man. But you got to share the brunt of the blame as well. We got to we together in this shit. You got some behaviors that's fucked up. Nobody ever comes and tells you about it. And here in so-called 2020, you still can't tell black women about their behaviors without them losing their fucking minds. You can't do it. And that's still happening to this very day. You can't say anything. I'll continue.
Helping to hold him down. That's all I'm saying. So everyone can look at themselves. Every man can look at his own woman. This book has brought a lot of people together. This book has reunited a lot of couples who now understand what happened in their relationship. It's required reading in 15 historically black colleges and 10 white colleges. Everyone must study what slavery did to the black woman. We have never looked at it as an independent study.
May I ask you, on what do you base your information?
Just research. Being a black woman myself, living here in the country, and I interviewed over 3,000 people. I interviewed 379 black men who were married to or dating white women. Over 100 black women who were married to or dating white men. And a little over 2,000.
Now, y'all hear that early. That's almost 4 times as many black men with white women than there are black women with white men. Truth be told. This is just how it is. There are more black men that are willing to date interracially even back in 1991. I'll continue.
Men and over 1,000 black women. And what I found is that we don't have a control group. There was no point in me listing all of their names because we don't have one set of Negroes that we could point at and say, okay, well, this particular group is not affected by slavery. All of us are affected by it. We just have not been able to identify the manifestation of that behavior and be able to trace it back to what the root was and how we got that way. A lot of the behavior we practice because it's trendy, it's popular in this country, and so we think that that's just the thing to do.
Do you thought the black...
Let me pause this real quick. Because a lot of people would be getting on Miss Ali about her research. I heard this come up in several other videos I've seen when people just like, well, where you get this information from? Black people are affected the same way. It's basically what she's saying. Like, this is, this ain't no, well, there's 10, I ain't gonna say 10. I'll say there's 1,000 people over in North Carolina. They got these behaviors. So, this is very specific to right here in this city in North Carolina or wherever. This is a thing that's happening. Even Dr. Joy DeGruy, she talks about this as post-traumatic slave syndrome, where she says she went all over the country, and what she noticed is that black people have very similar downfalls, very similar characteristics due to being enslaved. Very similar behaviors due to being enslaved. Sharhzad Ali says it, and it's all of a sudden it's a big problem. You see, like where you get your research from? Well, all you gotta do is look out here. Listen to what she's saying. Just look out here. You don't have to do, I mean, and she even says she did some case studies, but it's not specific to one group of black people. This is happening to black people that have been affected by this all over America. I know black women like the women she's talking about right here. You know black women like the women she's talking about right here. Where you are, wherever you are, you know black women like the women she's talking about. And you may be one. Huh? And that might make you mad a little bit. I'll continue.
For anything?
Yes, absolutely. I fought him for lying.
For lying?
Yes.
About?
All kinds of things. He won't tell us the truth about his life because he knows that we can't handle the truth. And so he will lie to us about his activities and his life because it preserves the peace for him, he thinks. But we know that lies don't build a relationship. They create doubt, suspicion, and fear.
This is
and
true.
then we exhibit those behavior traits. And fear in the female is
true.
always translated as hostility. And so, see, it's a locked-in circle that I'm trying to get us to look at, how these things are connected and what they produce. A lot of the anger and frustration we have at each other is really not even at each other. It's about our conditions. It's about something that's almost been genetically sent down through our womb because our men were not able to protect us. They were not able to keep the slave master from snatching our babies out of our womb or to allow us to have food or clothing. A lot of different kinds of things that happen to us that just make us tremble. They make us frightened. And so now it's to a point where everything that the man does, we have our total emotional balance, our self-esteem, our self-respect, everything that we stand for as a female, we have it tied right now to our men's genitals. And it depends on what he does with those about whether or not
let's talk about that for just...
Well, they're about to dig into it, but I just wanted to be clear that she says she does fault the black man. And I've said this too. We got to stop lying so damn much. We lie way too much about who we are, what we believe in, and we end up getting caught in them lies. And we got to stop lying so goddamn much about who we are. And I think that would clear a lot of things up if we just stop lying so damn much. Because that does cause a woman to not trust you. And if she don't trust you, that's going to lead to hostility. Everybody should know that by now. And women have been resilient in staying with your ass, even if you a lying motherfucker. I've had women have my back even as I'm telling full-blown lies, getting caught in them lies, they'll still stay with you. But that trust is seeping away. And it leads to hostility. This is real shit. And she said it's tied to his genitals. They're about to go into it right now.
See, this is an intense topic.
Yes,
I just never get a chance to explain
One thing that I read over and over again in your book was regarding infidelity. And let me just make this here. You say in your book, there is no history of the black man settling down with one woman and never desiring to have another, before slavery, during slavery, or after slavery. The black man has never been recorded to have just one woman.
Right. Well, I think there's some actual facts we can look at on that. Monogamy has failed for the white man in America.
This is like saying it's okay.
It's not me.
You see what she said? Like, the black man, and she could have said man, period. Because y'all know, when I talk about this, I say man, period. I'm just going to make it about the black man. This ain't no man at all ever been recorded as being monogamous. It's not real. No human being. It's not a real metric. It's not a real standard. It's something that white men have tried to force on the entire world, and force that ideology on the entire world. That's what they did. And this woman's like, well, you're saying it's okay on some emotional shit because you're not being logical. I'll continue.
It's okay. This is how they're living. I'm giving you the history of what their life is. Black men haven't been waiting on me to tell them it's all right to have more than one woman. Neither have white men.
Right.
You know, this is just what they do. I'm not talking about fornication and adultery. I'm not talking about one-night stands and running around rampant with other women. That's not the kinds of, when I say more than one woman relationship. I mean that before we came to America, our men had more than one wife and family. And we were satisfied with it because we had not met the monogamy idea. We had not met the American white woman who, you know, insists on certain kinds of values in her man. We had not learned envy and jealousy. All right, after coming here, those kinds of ideas.
Let me pause at that. That's big. You notice how she said we had not learned envy and jealousy. These are social constructs. I try to tell people this all the time. Now, I'm not saying you're going to believe me based on what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're going to believe her. But envy and jealousy are not natural feelings like we believe that they are. These are socially engineered emotions. How do you think that other nations, if you study across the world, have polygamy and nobody is, it is what it is. That's how you raise. That's what you know. That's what would be normal to you. When the black man, woman came to this country or was brought to this country to be slaves, they changed our normal. Now we live under a new norm. We live in a new set of values. And monogamy doesn't work for any man on the planet. Any human on the planet, this shit don't work for. But notice how she said that. We hadn't learned envy and jealousy. That's big.
Were bred into us because of society and the mores that the Americans made up here. And so then we started to have problems with that. But I think that since it is apparent that most of them, not all of them, it's certainly up to the man, do love more than one woman. I got tons of mail. A lot of black men write and tell me that they have had two women for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, and they can't even get the women to speak to each other. Sometimes they have two families.
Would I want to talk to a woman who's sharing perhaps the bed and the money and the social life with who I would deem as my man?
If you want to deal in reality, and if you are not insecure, and if you don't think that robs you of something.
If you want to deal in reality, we don't like dealing in reality. And that's not just, this is people in general. People have an issue with dealing in reality. This is all it is you can be real about it, or he can keep hiding it from you. You have men, and I've even had, there are men in my family who have turned their backs on their children that they had outside of their marriage and things like that. And I don't think that doesn't do the black community any good whatsoever, because now you have a man who's saying fuck his whole other family. That kid is never going to have a father because he's scared of the consequence of what's going to happen with, whether it be his girlfriend, his wife, or whoever. I don't respect men who act like that. I just don't. If you in a situation where you have a child, whether it be outside your marriage or whatever, that child should not be deprived of father. If that woman gonna leave you, then let her leave. That's how I feel. That child is more important. That's me. That's how I look at it. There's no reason that, grandpa and them have a whole family 2 streets over. He got a whole other kids over here, and he don't give a fuck about them. They get to lose out. They get to be left out. To me, that's not right. That's not righteous. But because of the jealousy that he knows he's going to get from the woman, or she may up and leave his ass, which I wouldn't give a fuck, but I know many men do. And people say, something could be wrong with me. Y'all can say whatever you want about me. I wouldn't give a damn. I just wouldn't care. The child is more important at that point. You see. Y'all might as well be friends. Y'all might as well get along, because, hell, it's kids involved now. You see?
You would want to know them. If he loves her, you certainly should want to know her.
There are a lot of black women out there who say,
"Oh, I know they're mad about that idea."
Right.
That would never hold water.
Wait a minute, that's not easy, and that's a frightening thought to most of us. And I don't like that. I'm not for that. I'm in agreement with everybody else. Our men ought to just have one woman. But that is not the reality. I'm trying to get us to deal with some reality for a change. Stop dealing with fantasy. Stop dealing with television. Stop dealing with imagination of how we wish things were. Let's deal with them how they are, what it is, present tense.
But because that's happened doesn't mean I have to like that or want to accept that.
No, that means that you can live in hell. That means you can live in doubt. That means that you can always be checking on your man. That means that you can be insecure and be, tearful. And that means you can be disappointed when you find out the real truth. And you don't want to have that in your life. None of us do. But in order not to have that, then we have to deal with some reality and recognize that men are not limited in the way that women are. Men are able to love more than one woman. I'm not talking about, as I said, just a random sexual relationship of fornication and adultery and all of that. I mean that there are many black men who have children by more than one woman. What is to become of those children? They need their father.
Now, you say that once these relationships don't work and they start breaking up or things start going bad at home, you say, she will cry and seek sympathy. During this period, the black woman will remind the black man of everything she has ever done for him.
Yeah, we do that.
She will try to make him feel guilty and ashamed of his decidedly outrageous behavior.
Absolutely.
She'll let the house go, and I quote you, to hell.
That's right.
She may stop cleaning, ironing, washing, and cooking.
And we withhold sex. That's a real tool we use. We do that.
But if you would cheat on me or walk out on me...
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. We have to get into definition. Who told us that was cheating?
Right.
Where did that idea come from that that's cheating?
Right, exactly.
And I'm not saying that a lot of men are not just running around.
Let me pause it real quick. Exactly. Where do we get that stuff from? Where do we get all these things from? Now, again, I'm not exonerating men because men could just stop lying. I'm not saying that. Men could most definitely stop lying, but where did this idea of cheating, where did that even come from? You were not born with that. That's not natural to you. That's just something that you've taken on now, you see. And a lot of us got to be understanding of that. Where did you get that idea from?
But if a woman finds out that her man has been with a woman while she's been with him for 3 or 4 or 5 years, that's a serious commitment and relationship. And if it hasn't taken anything from me, if I'm not going short of anything, and if this is what he thinks his responsibility is, then what kind of hell are you going to go through to prevent that? Since we cannot stop him, we have not been successful. The white woman has not been successful in stopping the white man from having another woman. They call them a mistress. We pick up a lot of that terminology. But a man who has 2 women, that's not necessarily a mistress. That's just his other woman. Now, we got 2 choices. 2. We can be the woman or the other woman. You know, we don't have but those 2. Now, I know we don't like that. I don't like that. You know, but that's the reality of our life at some point. Now, it's up to the man. But every man doesn't want 2 women, but those that do,
what about our morals and our religion?
Whose religion? Whose morals?
Let me pause it real quick. Whose religion? Whose morals? Where you get this shit from? That's tough. That is tough. Y'all think y'all was born this way. You think your mama was born that way. You think your grandma was born that way. You think that we just showed up like this. No. Whose religion? Whose morals? We try to live up to a moral standard that the white man and his mama created, and they don't even live up to it. They don't even live up to this. I'll continue.
Religion, because we're not practicing the religion of black people anymore. That was taken from us. We don't have our morals anymore. That was taken from us. So whose idea are you representing when you stand up for those values? Not ours.
Not ours.
Somebody else's.
Girl can't even
some
answer.
Other nationality. And it may work for them.
She can't even answer the question.
But it doesn't work for us. It hasn't worked for anybody, really.
Really?
And nobody wants to deal with the truth. Monogamy was only created because of the economics of it.
The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman has been out for, what, over a year now?
You notice how that black woman couldn't even rebut that? She couldn't even rebut it. Whose religion? She'd have had to say the white man's. Whose moral? She'd have had to say the white man's, his mama's. She would have had no choice but to say that. So she moved on.
March the 20th will be the 1st year anniversary. And for that anniversary, I'm releasing my new video. And the video is called The Black Man's Guide on Tour. And it is exciting.
I would assume it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's hot, I tell you.
After writing this book, just take a moment before you answer.
Okay.
Do you regret anything about what you wrote? If you had the chance to do it all over again, would you perhaps soften some of the things that you said?
No, that doesn't require any in-depth thought. I've been asked that a lot, of course. No, I wouldn't, because, see, we always want some kind of instruction and help to come to us that doesn't affect the status quo. We want somebody to tell us some information or give us some instruction that doesn't require us to change. Okay?
Go on,
this
tell
book
it.
requires change. And one thing this book has done that I have really been pleased with, it has certainly reopened communications. And a lot of us as black women, because of what here seems like it's just so radical, are willing to make a lot of concessions now and cooperate a lot of other kind of ways to keep from having to do any of these things that I list in here. So I have letters from black men who just write and say, listen, thank you. My wife is cooking better meals now. I have letters from children that say, thank you. My mother quit her second job. She's home with us now at night. I have had black men walk up to me on the street in New York and reach out to shake my hand and say thank you and just burst into tears and say, thanks, hey, I thought I'd never live to see the day.
Not to jump on your case or anything here, but just to say in defense, how many of those women are afraid of an open-handed slap in the face?
You know, that's a terrible thing.
You have been accused of advocating violence.
This is big. Hold on, let me pause. Let me pause this, because this is big, and this is one of the things I don't agree with her about. I disagree with this. All right? I disagree with this logic that she has, but she's going to go on to explain it. But she does suggest that women get slapped in their goddamn mouth. I'll continue here, though.
I'm trying to stop violence in the black community.
See, I don't agree with this.
We know, Raven, that domestic violence is at an all-time high in the black community. Black men currently are kicking us, blacking our eyes, knocking our teeth out, stabbing us, shooting us. They're doing a lot of horrible things to us. All right? So what I'm trying to do is to put some direction on that. One of the problems we have is that we don't know that change happens in degrees and stages. So if we just tell our men don't hit women, they're not going to do that any more than they're going to say no to drugs. You know, that doesn't work in that way, just to give that kind of instruction. Let me just pause it real quick here.
I disagree with all of this. All of her points about smacking women in the mouth, hitting women to curb domestic violence, I think that's complete and utter bullshit. It's complete bullshit. There is no justification for a man punching a woman in the face, unless she's coming at him with a knife or some shit like that. Other than that, kicking, stabbing, all this shit, that's trash. And it should not even be dealt with that way. What she should have said was women need to figure out and find ways of self-defense and be ready to shoot and kill this motherfucker. That's what she should have said. Don't go for that, but I'll continue.
So let's first put some controls on it. Let's get our men to recognize that they don't have to go off and brutalize us with their fists and hit us with weapons and kick us in the stomach and hit us in the breast.
But it's okay for him to hit me with his hand?
Wait a minute. I'm saying that if I can stop black men from kicking and shooting and stabbing and stomping black women and get them to just lightly tap us in the mouth, I will have saved a lot of lives and preserved a lot of families.
What kind of logic is that?
Well, they're not going to start doing it completely.
That's a damn good question. What the fuck kind of logic is that, Miss Ali? I disagree with that. It's the first time that this interviewer has actually said something that where I'm like, yeah, what the fuck kind of logic is that? That is not okay to be slapping nobody in the motherfucking mouth. Now, I'm not saying that you don't think about slapping the shit out of her in the mouth, because I know sometimes it gets to be tough, okay? But hell nah. That's some bullshit. Ain't nothing gonna come of that but some bullshit. That means you don't know how to control your emotions. Earlier, Miss Ali alluded to the fact that men are become emotional, bitchy, you know, by being raised by single moms. And I can't attribute this to being raised by single moms. A lot of these men see women be abused physically, and they take on those traits in their other relationships, because they saw their mama take it. If they'd have saw mama, if they would have seen their mama rock this motherfucker upside his goddamn head the first time he put his goddamn hands on her, then that shit wouldn't have been able to be passed down. You see. Wouldn't have been able to be passed down, and daddy acting like that. Because mama rocked him. He tried it one time. You motherfucker tell that story to mama. Yeah, he tried it. Mama fucked him up. Or mama left. She wasn't going for that shit. I'll continue.
Now let's deal with the reality of the statistics. You know, 40% of our women are brutalized. So I'm trying to get the men to stop doing that to us. The Red Cross suggests the same motion, and nobody's ever jumped on them. If a person gets hysterical, you slap them in the face to bring them back around to reality. And I'm not even saying a hard slap. And let's go over that, because that's something that's confused all over the country. I'm so tired. That's the national anthem of black women. Now, at first I thought they were really upset, but I think it's been kind of a smoke screen. They're trying to use that to get black men not to read the rest of the book. Okay, this is what it says.
That's funny.
If the black woman is brutalized repeatedly, the relationship will fail. and the black man will possibly be arrested and charged with cowardly abusing a woman. This is not the goal. Make no mistake about it. No black eyes, no punching in the stomach, the breast, no stomping, and no uppercuts. Analyzing the options available to the black man when the black woman's mouth, verbal abuse has been proven to be just as violent and harmful as physical abuse. When her mouth becomes uncontrollably disrespectful, they total only a few. He can walk away from her, leave the house, and get drunk. We know men do that. He can go to his other woman and complain. He can quit the relationship, leave the woman. He can try to argue back and lose. Nobody can out-argue us, okay? Or he can seek counseling or sympathy from friends. Now, those are the only options any man has when a woman is running off at the mouth to him. Or he can offer her a sound, open-handed slap in the mouth. That doesn't go from point A to Z. There's a lot of other options in there that our men use. I'm just describing what happens. Ordinarily, when he gets to that point 6, it's not a slap. It's a brutal hit with a fist. I'm trying to...
See? All that is trash. Every bit of it. Now, women do run off at the goddamn mouth. They do. They do. But I would suggest you using one of those other options first. Or one of those other options at all. Like, don't even... the smacking her in the mouth. Just leave her. Why are you still fucking with her like that? If she gonna be run off at the mouth like that, then she don't value you. She don't respect you. Get the fuck out of there and leave her. Ain't no point in punching her. Because then you're going to end up having to do that all the time anyway. Ain't nobody trying to be in a relationship like that. Now, verbal abuse is real. A lot of women don't even want to admit that they are actually not only verbally, but physically abusing men as well. Because they will try to fight your motherfucking ass. But it's best that you get the fuck up out of there. That's the best thing to do. I've never punched or smacked a woman. I done choked a couple, though. I will admit that to y'all. I done choked a couple. I can't bring myself to punch a woman like she no man. Unless she coming at me on some life-threatening shit. Like with a weapon. But just if she trying to throw the hands on me and I can't get around her motherfucking ass, I will choke a motherfucker. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be honest. But I ain't smack, punch, kick, all that. No. Hell, that's too much. I disagree with all of that shit.
Him from doing that to us. And I'm trying to get us to control it differently.
No kind of violence should be advocated.
Well, that's not advocating violence. The violence is already going on. I'm trying to stop it. I'm trying to put some controls on it.
Sharhzad,
and that's something that people don't understand.
You are a mother.
Yes, I have 12 children.
How would you feel if your daughter called you at 2 a.m. and...
She got 12 kids. That's tough. I just wanted to pause and say that's tough real quick. I'm going to keep going.
And said, Mom, he hit me. Now, you're a mother now. You're a mother.
Well, I'm not emotional like that. I'd have to say what happened. Put him on the extension. And let me find out what happened.
There are many...
Hell nah. If my daughter called me and say, Dad, he hit me, then I'm there and his ass is going down. We gonna stomp him out together. We gonna gang that motherfucker. That's what we gonna do. I'm not even gonna beat his ass while she's standing on the sideline holding her face. Now, come on, let's go get his ass together. We gonna stomp this motherfucker out as a team. And then we gonna get the fuck up out of here. A lot of women, though, truth be told, right here, a lot of women will call up a family member in their family, tell them what happened. That family member comes and respond to the information, do something to him, or come and do something to him, and the woman will protect that motherfucker. Or go back to that motherfucker. You can't save motherfuckers like that. You can't save them. And we got to be mindful and real about that too. A lot of women go right back to this motherfucker, even after all of this. But I'd be damned when my daughters called me and said that he hit me, and I asked her what happened. It doesn't matter to me what happened. I'm coming.
Out there who would like to know, are you married?
Of course I'm married. Yeah, you know I'm with being with a man. I'm not ashamed to say I need a man. No, I need a man. I'm one of those women. I have to have a man. I am not ashamed of that. My first husband died in 1985, unfortunately, of a heart attack. And I have a new husband now. And I've given the children to him, and we're raising them. And he's a very beautiful man. He's not afraid of me. He's not intimidated by me. And he knows me. And he has read the book. Okay, he is in agreement with my campaign, and all of my sons are in agreement with this. I have 7 sons, and they are very beautiful and very talented, and it's very interesting to see how, as a result of me teaching them differently, the girls that come there, they don't run the same game on them. You know, like they can't come into our house with the mini skirts on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They can't come in with the skin tight clothes on.
You are Muslim, may I add that?
Oh, of course,
Okay.
but I'm not teaching our people religion.
Okay.
They already failed that course. I wouldn't dare try to teach black people religion.
But does that influence?
They already failed that course. Even as she is a Muslim, I'm not teaching religion. No, we didn't did enough of that. This is 91. She said that was enough of that shit. I'll continue.
It's the way
Islam influences everything that goes on in the black community, because that's what we were before we were brought here as slaves. So yes, it certainly has influenced my life.
Can I jump back?
It's not a book on religion.
Now we have to keep in mind, she said this is what black people was before they came in. She's talking about Islam. The Arabs, those slave masters, is the reason why you have Islam. Understand that. It was the Arab slave master is the reason y'all have Islam. A lot of Islam, Muslim, they don't want to acknowledge that, but it's the truth. As they talk about the white man's religion being Christianity, well, the Arab man's is Islam. Truth be told.
And I don't bring it into it like that. Sure.
I want to jump back for just a moment. You said there are 3 kinds of black women. Where do you fall?
Probably somewhere, the categories overlap, probably between the 2, 3.
And how do you criticize yourself?
Well, as I said, I work every day to be a better wife, better mother, and I have not said I'm perfect. You know, I'm a victim of all of the things, just like all of the rest of us are. And I don't say that all black women do everything in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything in the book, but all of us do some of them. And every time that we do them, then it serves to break up our relationship and run our men away from us. When that's not really what we want at all. We really want him to run toward us. But sometimes we function in such a way that makes him be outside, looking for peace of mind with somebody else because we withhold the peace, because we're mad at him about something, you know. I go around trying to tell black women, if one of the things we can do for our men is just smile when we see him coming. Yeah. If you get with these ideas, the first thing it'll do is relax the muscles in your face. You won't be so uptight all the time. It'll make you beautiful.
What are you teaching your daughters regarding to this philosophy?
That to be able to judge things on an unemotional basis, to try to go by the actual facts of what is presented.
You notice how she continues to go back to being unemotional. And I think that some people confuse being unemotional with lack of love. You see, you can be unemotional and still love, in my personal opinion, at least based on what I've observed. Because when she's talking about using logic over emotion, that doesn't mean you don't love and care for a person. That means you just be logical about what actions are going to take place upon you being disappointed, upon you being angry, upon you being, let down. What actions are in place there? If you respond emotionally, excuse me, if you respond emotionally, that means that you are reacting impulsively. You're not thinking about this shit. You're just doing shit. That's an emotional response. It's impulsive response. Not practical, not logical, not pragmatic. Not thinking about, everything, the sequence of events. You see everything ahead. When you're able to take emotion out of it, you're able to see a couple steps ahead. And a lot of people get that confused.
Instead of how you feel about it. Our people in general have a problem distinguishing between actual fact and opinion. And we think we have an option to reject the truth based on how we feel about it.
Right.
And the truth doesn't change just because we feel a certain way about it.
Right.
It remains the truth.
Exactly.
So I teach them that.
Is this book semi-autobiographical?
Oh, absolutely not. Excuse me. Absolutely not. No.
But doesn't the average person that write a book, there's a little bit of him somewhere in
I'm the writer here. You the TV host, and writers do not do that. You can write about anything you want to. And the only thing I regret is that I didn't write the Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman Part 2, because there's some more. This is just all I put in the one book. But I'm coming out with the Black Woman's Guide to Understand the Black Man in 1993, probably.
Well, I will tell you right now, there'll be a lot of ladies.
Oh, yeah, we return money every day. They're trying to buy it already, but I don't have it ready.
The most profound question, perhaps, that I can ask you right now, do you believe in what you're writing, or are you a very astute businesswoman making a buck?
I believe absolutely in what I'm writing. I wouldn't come out here and go through what I have to go through around the country every day, and I could be in a different city every day of the year. The demand is just that great. I read an article in Emerge magazine the other day. People have been writing in about my book as a result of an article they wrote a few months ago. And the editor put a note in the magazine, in the front of their magazine, that that's Emerge magazine now. That's supposed to be black people coming out and so forth. They put a paragraph in there that said, we have been still getting letters on Sharhzad Ali's book, The Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman, but we're not going to publish any more of them because we have decided that the book has made enough money. I thought that was the most ignorant remark. So I told my secretary, get him on the telephone. So I got that nigger on the phone. I said, has IBM made enough money?
Right.
Has Nike, Reebok, AT&T? Why don't you go tell them people that they made enough money? You know, that's so silly that our people take an attitude of wanting to stifle someone else's success. The part that you mentioned in regard to me being a successful publisher and a female entrepreneur, absolutely. I have a great deal of insight about the publishing industry. I did this by myself. And you would think that somebody would want to do a story on that side, since obviously I know how to put together a successful project and carry it off into the second year now. But they don't want to deal with that, and they keep saying I made enough money. And nobody even knows how much money I have made. They don't know what my responsibilities are.
And this is black. These are other black folk. Y'all hear this, right? These is other black folk. I'm trying to let it play out a little longer down here towards the end without pausing so much. But these other black folk acting like this. 1991. Emerge magazine. Acting like this. And like she said, has Nike made enough money? IBM, AT&T? These are still profitable companies to this day. But y'all gonna try to hold me back, though.
They do know I have 12 children. You know, but I thought that was such an ignorant remark for a black person to make when all of the people who are making money off of black people in our community, where it's not benefiting us at all. It's not helping us to grow or to change or to be better. And they never get addressed. They never get attacked. But they keep saying to me, you know, that I have made enough money. And they don't even know.
The irony in this is that you said you wish you could see more black women taking more interest in the home. Well, you are a businesswoman. You're traveling all the time. Who's cooking your husband dinner tonight?
My husband travels with me a lot of the times. You all just don't know who he is because we can't let that out. No, he's with me a great deal of the time. I have a strong family, extended family structure. I have sisters, and my children are between the ages of 5 and 26. Now, if that 23, 24, and 25-year-old don't know how to take care of the children when I'm not there, then I have failed. But I haven't, because they do know how to carry on until I get back, you know.
Right.
Have you met any one black woman that you do admire, who you think has done an excellent job?
Black women all of the time. Marva Collins. I just made a huge donation to the Marva Collins Preparatory School in Cincinnati in memory of my mother. I've donated to a lot of organizations around the country, you know, to help black children. Mostly that's what I do. I don't donate any money that's going to be used for administrative costs. I don't do that. But if it's going to go directly to the children, I do that. A lot of black women. You know, we've done, as I said, I represent that great strength that we have. I admire you for what you're doing. It takes a lot of courage to bring me in on a television show and let me just talk. A lot of people wouldn't do that, you know, and I wish you success in your career.
Thank you very much.
After I'm gone.
Sharhzad, do you have an opinion of the white woman?
Just that she's been an influence on us, and that not intentionally, she's just living her life. She didn't tell us to copy her. You know, but the way the society is set up, we have copied a lot of her ideas, and a lot of the standards she sets for the white man, we have tried to set them for the black man, except all of the things that are required for a man to have to meet those prerequisites, our men are kept from getting. You understand? So it's really, really a messed up situation.
The white woman just living her life. We've taken the white man and his mama's life, and we're trying to impose it on black people. Even though we're kept out of the institutions that they established off the backs of our ancestors. That's big. We're imposing those values onto our people. The white woman just out here living her life. Now we know, as she say living her life, we know that bitch ain't just living her life. She's out here making moves, raising racist. She's doing all of this shit, keeping the institutional racism alive. But what she's saying is nobody's telling black women to go copy this bitch like that. Nobody's telling them to. They're just choosing to.
And so we make demands on our men that they just can't. They can't produce.
You've been on the talk show circuit for quite some time now.
10 months.
Do you find that even journalists in the highest degree have trouble remaining objective when they talk to you?
Yeah, most of them. In fact, what they do is on the newspaper interviews, they sit there and they're so nice. Oh, they're so wonderful. And then I leave town, and then I get a copy of the story in the mail. Oh God, they roast me alive. You know.
You write some pretty powerful stuff. It must be hard to even go in an airport.
Oh, sometimes. Well, it certainly has allowed me to be recognized. You know, people, because I wear these crowns, you know, they recognize me in a lot of places. But most of the time, which is a story which has never been told, there are so many black women who love me. There are so many black women who, in fact, next week I'll be going to Baltimore. And there's a group there called the Black Women's Consciousness Raising Organization or something. And it's a black women's group of 250 black women. Professional women. They have invited me into their convention to be the keynote speaker.
Let's go.
May I say,
black women all over the country who are in support of this project. In fact, I just gave that lecture in Miami, and the man who invited me in was 78 years old. He said he thought he'd never live to see the day that the truth was told about our women. You know, he's a 78-year-old black man who is still in business. He invited me in. Most of the people at the lecture were women. Most of the people who bought 2 and 3 books for their sons were women.
Right.
Most of the people that bought books for their daughters who were getting married were women.
Right.
You know, so it's been distorted of who actually is supporting this project. We have 30 million people out here. About 15 million of them have jobs. About 7 million of them can read or have disposable income to buy a book. And I haven't reached the market that I intend to reach in order to actually get this message to penetrate into our communities. The book being required reading is certainly going to help us to face some realities. Our young people want a different life. They don't want the failure that many of us have suffered. They have seen that this has not worked for many of us, and they want something different. They want to find out why they can't get along, why their mating techniques are failing for them, and why they're so frustrated, why there's so much game and nonsense in it. And this book will help them to do that.
Sharhzad Ali, it has been a pleasure, may I say, to have you today in our program. Can I just add something for just a moment? I have had the opportunity to have lunch with you today.
Yes.
You are a very personable individual. You
Absolutely.
are sweet.
They just tried to make you a monster on television.
But can I say that if I didn't know about this book, on a first impression of you, I never would have thought you'd have written that.
Well, you may not have. Many of us have some talents that our larger communities can benefit from. You know, if I had met you somewhere, I might not have realized that you were a very popular and dedicated talk show host. I wouldn't have known that until you told me what you do. I believe that the message I'm trying to bring to my people is a message from God. I think that the only way our people get any message or information from God is through the people, and that this is a very important work I'm doing. This is not a game to me. It has a great emotional drain on me. People come against me with a lot of negative ideas. They come hard. They bring all the force that they have to bear, and I have to stand up under that.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't internalize. I don't let it go in. I expected us to have an emotional reaction, and I know that when you have a revolution of social change, the first reaction is emotional, but those people settle down. And so if I have to be the brunt of that in order for them to get to a better life, in order for us to have a better child, then I just have to take that. And of course my own man has to absorb a lot of what I bring to him. Sometimes, every once in a while, somebody will get through and they'll say something that'll, just be so penetrating, I say, wow, listen at that. But I just don't internalize it, because I know that it's not me they really want to attack. They really want to just not have to take responsibility for their behavior. They don't want anyone to say that's wrong, because most of the negative practices we have, we've been doing them so long, we think that they are right. And so we don't want anybody to come out and say, you're doing that wrong. And we certainly don't want our man to say, that's right, you are wrong.
They don't really want to attack me. It's not really me they after. I just happen to be the person that's saying what I'm saying right now. So I'm the focal point. So they're going to try to make it about me when it's really It's about you. It's about what you feel about what I'm saying. That happens to me all the time in my videos. And I ain't wrote no book and running on a tour or nothing like that. But I get the same type of energy. I've had my life threatened. I done had people threaten the lives of my kids. I done had all that type of shit happen. And I know it's not me that people really want to get at. They just mad about what's being said because I'm holding black people accountable. So I know that's what's going on. And I take it in stride. And that's what she's saying. I just take it all in stride.
Has this been worth what you've had to go through? Absolutely. Being accosted in airports and absolutely practically blessed out on television shows?
Anytime I'm accosted in the airport, it's because somebody wants an autograph or they want a book. I mean, I've had an entire basketball team in LA, you know, they want a book or they want an autograph, but it has not been negative. And certainly, as I said, we can always dwell on that one issue in the book that people tried to bring up that's negative about violence. As I have explained, that's not what I was trying to do. And
you could have did a better job of explaining it.
That certainly keeps people from understanding the rest of the book, which is calling on us as black women to bring some of that backboning strength that we have, some of that monumental dedication to the black family back to making a family. A family is more than a woman and children. A family is a father.
Now, she could have did a better job with that abuse shit. That smacking in the mouth. She could have did a much better job. Or, excuse me, or just left it out of the book completely, because it's to me, it's a non-relevant point. It's a non-real point that she would even make that point. But she could have did a much better job of that. But to say that everything she's saying is trash because you disagree with some of her points, which is, I went through this, I disagree with some of her points, but I'm not going to sit here and say everything she's saying is trash. And that's what a lot of women do to her. And I noticed that even now when I see people talking about her, it's like, well, everything she's saying is trash because of this. No, that's trash. But everything she's saying isn't trash. And I think that's bullshit. That's how we treat people sometimes.
A mother and children.
You cannot deny, however, that there are many black women who have decided for whatever reason to go it alone and are successful in raising children who are not on drugs. Yes, wait. Let me just make my point now. Who are sending their children to college,
that's not
who run a good home.
I keep trying to explain that.
Right.
Feeding and clothing and raising a child and making sure it's not on drugs and it goes to college, that doesn't guarantee that child any emotional success in their relationships in life.
Tell it.
That just means they may be able to get a job.
Right.
See, we have to look at even what the success standard is that we're talking about.
Right.
That's not necessarily success. That doesn't guarantee us success. If we can raise up an emotionally stable child, one who knows how to carry on our black nation, who knows how to be a good mother and still perhaps contribute to the outside community, if we can raise up fathers who take responsibility for their children,
let's go,
and who know that their presence in the home is a needed one if we are to survive, there are a lot of other things more important than us just getting a college education and a job. That does not guarantee the success of a nation. That guarantees a personal financial success, which is not the only thing that we need to revive our black nation.
Let's talk about the future just briefly. What's up next for you?
The video, The Black Man's Guide on Tour, which is coming out March the 20th. And hopefully by Christmas we'll have it completed. I'm working on a prototype of the Sharhzad doll. And the Sharhzad doll is going to be a little doll with a little lady with a little crown on. And she'll be holding a little black...
Let me pause it right here, because that's really the end of the video. She goes on to talk about a doll. And what she's doing as far as her own going on tour. I wanted to play this video to show Miss Ali in a better light than I've seen her be shown in. Black women can continue to ignore the message. That's fine. I mean, I'm not here. I can't make people listen to what she's saying, but the things that I hear people saying about her, it just lets me know that people aren't really listening. They focus on one or two points that she made that they may disagree with, and then they write out everything else that she said. This is a powerful woman speaking about some of the stuff that she's saying. And again, it's not all agreeable. It's not all agreeable, but you cannot say that everything she said is complete bullshit. And when you do that, when I see people do that, it just lets me know that, like she said, people are being more emotional than they are being pragmatic. And when it's black women, it's just that black women don't want to hear any criticisms of any of their behaviors that they have, any of the dysfunction that they may have. no one wants to hear that. And we heard her, because she's not exonerating black men. I hear people want to call her like a pick me or something like that. She has a husband, got kids, and had 2 husbands. More husbands than a lot of y'all will ever have for your whole damn life already, just in having 2. Hell, it's just in having 1. So to call her like she doing something to be chosen by a black man when she's already been married twice before she wrote this book, that doesn't even make any sense. That's just something that you're saying to try to dilute her points. And that's disingenuous. She's saying some real shit here. She's being real. Now, it may not apply to you. Cool. But if you listen to this interview and all you take from it is she said she gonna hit women in the mouth, and she does put a lot of the responsibility of the black community or the state or the breaking of the black family on black women, you also have to balance that out and say, well, she did say that the black man allowed this stuff to happen as well. And nobody, like, people missing over that because they're not listening to what she got to say. They just want to be triggered. And intelligent people are not going to sit here and get triggered. They're going to hear her out. And if you hear her out and you still disagree, that's fine. But I wanted to take my time to do this, to show this, because I said I was going to start doing where I go back and I get some of our scholars and our people that's written book, our authors, and go through some of their lectures and their talking points and break them down and have us listen to them together. And let me know whether I'm tripping or not, or whether I'm crazy or not. You can tell me I'm tripping. You can leave your comments and let me know that. Again, a lot of people won't even make it to this video because it was a pretty long fucking video. If you made it to this point, I appreciate you for hearing me out. I appreciate you for hearing Miss Ali out. Let me know the points that she made that you may disagree with. Or if you disagree with everything she's said at all, you can let me know that too. Just let me know what's on y'all's mind as you hear her say the things that she said. All right? Y'all can like, share, subscribe. Links to follow me on social media in the description box. Order a t-shirt for my brother. There are sites in there to do that. Donate via Patreon. We here to try to bring black men and women together, to get them standing side by side so we can dismantle the system of white supremacy, institutional racism, or at least raise our children to have some motherfucking pride and values in their blackness. That's the least we can do. Shout out to Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. I'm out.